Hello, yes indeed. I must first apologize for my delayed release schedule, but I did come down, if I had not mentioned this in any other videos, with a case of COVID, and I kind of had the dry coughs. My skills on the microphone are bad enough as they normally are without having the dry coughs from COVID, so I kind of wanted to rest and restore myself before making any more content. That being said, we are here at Alderney Airport. That's one of two locations for Aurigny. That's what I believe the French pronunciation for the company that operates here. It's one of their two home bases in the Channel Islands here. So we are pretty much smack dab due left of Cherbourg, France, and we're bringing to the channel a very, in my opinion, strange aircraft. This is the Britten-Norman Trislander. Now, I don't know if the S is silent. I hear a lot of other people saying Trilander, but apparently, as you can see, it has three engines, and it got me kind of thinking. I've seen this BlackBox Simulations aircraft on the market space for quite a while now, and I wanted to see what would happen if we lost a starboard, port, or center fuselage engine here, especially because even though this is a very large vertical stabilizer here, what would happen with rudder deflection and yawing if we were to shut down intentionally one of these engines? So we're going to test that out today. Basically, I said we're at Alderney. That's Echo Golf Juliet Alpha Alpha. It's a DLC aircraft, and for you guys, the viewers out there, I also clearly picked up this aircraft to experiment with, and we're heading down to Jersey International, which is pretty much due south of here. It's Echo Golf Juliet Juliet. I also picked up that DLC for this content. And then we're going to finally head northeast to Lima Foxtrot Alpha Uniform. That's Volville, and it's off the coast of France. So it's a Trilander with 3 stops, making it a tri-stop adventure today. I know that's very terrible humor. But with that being said, of course, this is the company that has one home base here, as previously mentioned, and I figure what better place than to start reviewing and checking this aircraft out, playing a little bit of experimental games with the engines, than by beginning the video right here in Alderney. It is quite a unique plane. Let's go ahead and pan down here and then just zoom right into the hours meter. You can tell I've never flown this aircraft before. I tested it for startup, but the Hobbs meter there for hours on the engines is at 0 of 0. So this is going to be a new procedure for me, a new flight experience. You'll be experiencing this the first time with me here on the channel. You may have already seen this aircraft on other channels, but this is my attempt at checking out the Britten-Norman aircraft 3-engine machine right here in Alderney. So let's try this out for the very first time, and as always, thank you for joining the channel. Let's get started. Alright, so welcome to the piloting command position. We are inside of what is essentially a bus painted yellow with wings. These are some uniquely designed seats, that's for sure. So can't say I've ever seen anything quite like that. And I've gone ahead and closed the aircraft up, removed all the chocks, gust locks, pitot tube, engine covers, boarding steps, and tail stand. Ask yourself, when was the last time you've seen an aircraft with a tail stand so that it didn't fall backwards if the center of gravity was too far to the aft? Strange. Also ask yourself, when was the last time you ever saw a side view mirror? I'm not really sure what that would be used for. Possibly checking to see if somebody's passing you on the left in the taxiway? I don't know. Interesting either way. So let's go ahead and get this aircraft up and running. First thing we're going to do is bring the battery and the external power supply on. I'm going to go ahead and turn the nav lights on. I'll also go ahead and notify that the crowd outside perhaps is aware that we are starting, so we'll have the beacon up and running as well. Let's bring the propellers full forward and the mixtures full forward. So what I'm also going to do is prime the starboard, that'd be the right side, the central, that'd be the engine in the back on the vertical stabilizer, and the port, that'd be the left-hand most engine. We're gonna prime the fuel system here, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this 5 full motions, essentially. And then I'll leave those auxiliary fuel pumps on. I'm going to come up here, bring this sun visor out of the way. We're going to start with only magnetos 1 of 2 on. So let's go ahead and give the right-hand engine a crank. All right, fantastic. So just looking very quickly to make sure on the lower left that we have oil pressure. That's the T's and P's, pressure and temperature. Oil temperature is rising. Cylinder head temperature is not rising out of control. And we do have green fuel pressure as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take this time to reach down and turn on the pitot there, as well as arm the starboard generator. I will go ahead and remove that starboard fuel pump as well. Let's go ahead, bring the second magneto on for that engine, and then let's fire up the middle engine. Okay, so checking for T's and P's again. Central stack, so cylinder head rising, not out of control. Oil temperature coming up, oil pressures within the green, and fuel pressures within the green. Okay, just going to keep an eye on that oil pressure there in the center, make sure it doesn't lower itself too much. There we go. Okay, so with the central stack running there, let's go ahead and turn the second magneto on and remove the auxiliary fuel pump, and then let's go ahead and start the left-hand engine, or port as it were. And same as always, T's and P's. Top to bottom, cylinder head temp, oil pressure, and temperature. Great. It's actually a little bit out of order. It should have been temperature and then pressure, but that's okay. So we do have fuel in the green for pressure as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the generator, confirm that our number 2 magneto is online, and I'm going to pull the sun visor up a little bit and then remove that port hand fuel pump there. So we don't have any warnings on our gauges. That's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and turn the avionics, the nav and comm on at the same time. Let's go ahead and throw our KN62 power switch. Let's go ahead and put our transponder to altimeter reporting mode on the Unicom of 7000, and we will rotate our ADF to on, I believe. Okay, so with the engine running, let's go ahead and just, well, engines, excuse me, running, let's go ahead and just make sure everything is a-okay down there. It is fantastic. Since we're in the middle of the day, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the starboard and port landing lights just for a little bit more visibility. Throw on the cabin lights, rotate the dial, throw in a notch of flaps, and we're watching it there go to takeoff. Fantastic. I'll bring the yoke back in. Let's go ahead and remove the parking brakes. I'm going to go ahead and tug left and tug right. Put the parking brake back on. Let's full aft, full forward, full left, full right. Controls free and clear. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this window up for noise sake there. We'll let these engines run up, and let's go ahead and give Alderney ATIS a go, see what they have to say. Hopefully they have it. If not, we'll go ahead and grab the airport information straight off of the phone, straight off of my phone actually, and I'll set the barometric pressure there, and we'll announce which runway we're going to be departing out of, essentially, once we figure that information out. So, as I stated, we are at Echo Golf Juliet Alpha. I'm going to go ahead right now and program a direct route in there to Echo Golf Juliet Juliet. That's Jersey International Airport there, and it is to the south of us. I always have so much hard time plugging in these flight plans here, of course. I wonder if we can hit an origin there. Oh, we don't want to do that. Okay, so let me figure out this avionics stack. I'll also get the information on the weather and the barometric pressures. We'll let these engine temperatures come up to operating temperature. We'll do a magneto check, and then we basically take off and head to the south. So once that's all set up and we're ready for the engine run up, I'll get right back with you, and I'll probably relocate to a more appropriate position on the paddock here to essentially do that engine run up. So, for you it'll be instantaneous. I'll be right back. Yes indeed, just like that, through the video editing magic, we are back here at the barometric altimeter setting, and I've gone ahead and resourced 1020 HPA for our setting, which when we convert that on the right to 1020, it turns out to be 30.12 on the left. So there you go, inches in HG. Excellent. So we got that one set. Let's go ahead and make sure we set our 6-pack version to 1020. I've also gone ahead and called air traffic control here at Alderney and asked for departure. They gave us, well, as you can see, taxi and hold short of runway 8. Fantastic. So we've got clearance for that. Let's go ahead and run these engines up and test these magnetos. So I'm going to run all 3 up at the same time. And with 3 engines making noise, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to hear an RPM drop when we bring the specific 1 and 2 magnetos offline. But we're going to look for RPM drop indicated. So you can see right down here, we're looking for the starboard RPM drop, which we did notice. And let's bring the number 1 magneto off. Watch for a drop. And it appears we have 2 good magnetos for the starboard engine. Now we're checking the center here for the center engine on the rear vertical stabilizer. And while I did the movie editing magic there, I also went ahead and plugged in Echo Golf Juliet Juliet for Jersey International Airport to the south, as you can see on our Garmin avionics here. And let's go ahead and flip the visor up. Check the T's and P's one last time. Fantastic. Bring our yoke back. And I'm going to go ahead and proactively turn on our auxiliary fuel pumps, and we are clear to head out to runway 8. I do like that little vibration of the cable there. That's pretty neat to see. And I definitely do maintain this is quite a strange aircraft indeed. Well worthy of making a video out here in the channel. And this is essentially me flying this aircraft the first time while you guys are seeing this aircraft debut on the channel for the first time. And what better setting than one of the home ports, as I've basically already mentioned. I figured this is a great starting point for this livery and this aircraft. Alright, so gonna check left, gonna check right. We are clear there. No incoming traffic. Let's tune tower, and let's ask for that clearance.
Tower A-line 221, ready for departure to the south at runway 08.
A-line 221 altimeter 29.9
Of course, they're telling us 2992. Now, I don't know if we're gonna set that, by the way, but I don't know if actually that real world weather is on or not in my sim, but we'll go ahead and fly by what they tell us. So, you know, just an FYI, I did definitely go out and check the real world METARs for the airport, but that's okay. Oops. Sorry about that instantaneous zoom out there. There we go, close enough to spec for today's video. I was hoping actually to find an ATIS channel at this airport that we could listen to, and I could program that in before holding short of runway 8 here, but ultimately we got what we were looking for in terms of our altimeter setting. I'm going to go ahead and back taxi a little bit here, as there's no reason to not utilize as much of the runway as physically possible. Looks like a great day to go flying, and there is no inbound traffic on final, so it would appear as though we have plenty of time to back taxi here. So we've got our pumps on, our T's and P's within the green. We've got our lights going, we've got our props full forward, our mixture full rich. Everything seems to be the way we like it. So it's not going to be a very difficult departure. Of course, this is just VFR direct to, and we'll also probably have to come in over the water, which will lead us to Jersey International, a very cool approach I'm hoping for. I've never actually been there with or without purchasing the DLC, so this pretty much is a first for me the whole way through. So I'm going to go ahead and keep quiet here, and we'll just experience the sounds of this aircraft on takeoff. And let's hit the skies. Of course, I may have said a left there. I'm not sure what I narrated into this video, but if I did say turning left, we are actually turning to the right.
Beeline 221, continue for south departure.
Alderney Tower A line 221, continue for south departure.
And you can feel when you're flying this a considerable amount of drag with those flaps, and the moment that you raise them for slick and smooth flying, you can feel the flight dynamic change considerably in terms of flight control input. So I'm going to bring the propeller RPM back right around 2300. We'll reduce manifold pressure about 25 pounds there, and we're slowly creeping, as you can see on our Garmin there, towards our magenta line down towards Jersey. I'm going to go ahead and remove the auxiliary fuel pumps here. Climbing at about 750 feet per minute, as according to our indicated rate of climb gauge there. This aircraft, as you notice on the ground, I'm sure, has no retractable gear, so less things to worry about.
Alderney Tower A line 221, frequency change.
The flight today is not actually very far. Of course, Jersey's only 26.6 nautical miles and rapidly decreasing, so we're not really going to be getting too high. I just want to get high enough because in the beginning I wanted to test my theory of what actually happens if you were to lose an engine. So let's go ahead and put that theory into motion right now. I will go ahead in this climb here. Let's see if I can turn the autopilot on here for a brief moment. Okay, so we're maintaining level. Let's swap to altitude hold, 3,200 feet. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pull back the engine for number 3, starboard side there. So flight idle, and we'll remove the magnetos. Okay, just wanted to use the autopilot as a placeholder temporarily so that I could reduce the workload in case this aircraft decided to get super fishy. And I'm just manipulating the rudder a little bit here. Nothing too crazy. Let's go external and verify that the engine is actually off. Well, we know it's off, but the thing is, it's not feathered. So let's go ahead and feather that right-hand engine and see if that makes a bit of a difference there. There we go. Now, there we go. Full feather. And it's just free spinning, windmilling. Yeah. No major suspicions here. This is definitely a more than reasonable aircraft to fly with one of the engines down. In fact, I'm not really even having to put in any rudder input at all, and we're still maintaining, look at that, about, what, 22.5 inches on the manifold pressure, running about 2,300 plus RPMs on the propellers, so we're nowhere near needing full power here. Of course, that could get chaotic if you're, you know, having something like that happen, catastrophic failure on takeoff, what have you. There is a blue line here on the airspeed indicator just below 80 knots. That is the line that you would want to fly on the event of an engine out. You would not want to get any lower than that. So let's go ahead and bring that propeller straight back up to speed, and then let's go ahead and, if I can get my eyesights to work here with the mouse, we'll start the number 1 engine again, or rather, excuse me, number 3. That'd be the starboard. And the adverse yaw has clearly gone away because we are now producing power on the starboard engine again. So I expected that to be a little bit more eventful, but I think it's just a testament to how well designed and engineered this aircraft truly is. Very unique. Although one would surmise that having engines that close to the center fuselage minimizes the torque effect. Of course, the further out they would be on that wing, the more yawing effect you would get. So that's fantastic. Nice to see that. Of course, it looks like we're about 16.5 nautical miles to Jersey. So in the event of saving the viewers some time, I'm gonna go ahead and movie magic edit this video until we're on final approach. We'll get right back at it then, and I will see you in a brief moment. All right. Alright, so welcome back. We are closer now, 5.2 nautical miles, and I've already contacted the tower. They told us to approach on runway 26 there. So with that in mind, we're looking just off of our right. You can see out the window right there is the airport. I'm going to go ahead and bring the propeller RPMs to 2500. We'll turn the autopilot off, and I'll start bringing this machine in for a turn to final here. Again, this is our first stop. We have one more after this. And there it is, 26. And we're in the white arch, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in a notch of flaps. And I'm going to try to come in there over that sort of little bay area, as it were. And let's bring flaps to full down. I suspect as the aircraft with the takeoff flaps position induced quite a lot of extra drag, gave us a lot of lift as well. This full down position is going to require a lot of engine horsepower. As you can see, I'm flying, well, what I feel is relatively decent safe speed here, but it's not requiring as much power as I thought it would, although of course when we get straight and level it'll obviously require more because we are descending, as it were, so we're maintaining a little bit more of that energy downhill. I suspect that curve will flatten out and we'll have to apply the throttle. And here's that application of such. And because we were under 10,000 feet, I went ahead and left the beacons on and the landing lights the whole time they're out there on the tip of the wing, just illuminating their little hearts out. So this will be a first time for me approaching in the Britain Norman. So new airport, it is DLC. New aircraft, it is DLC. And we're going to do this in a one take. So it is what it is. And this will be my true experience of it. Just go ahead and give myself a little bit more eye elevation there. And we have all white over white, which means we are a little bit high, but that's okay. We have a little excess speed and a little excess altitude. Better to be over the mark than under the mark. Do not want to wind up in those trees, especially for a first attempt at landing this aircraft. And I must say, in regards to that, the takeoff roll was quite smooth, required very little input. So it appears to be quite a nice flying plane. Of course, if you could get over the looks, which to me are quite unique, we'll just leave it at that. But my research, this is also a pretty successful aircraft in the way that it was operated for a very long time, so the aircraft history speaks for itself. I also think these airports speak for themselves too, because there's so many unique places in the world that one can fly to and experience, especially in Microsoft Flight Simulator with a study level aircraft. It just makes it all that more engaging to be here making the videos. Of course, I always appreciate the subscriber too, so go ahead and do the proverbial smash that like button and so on and so forth. It really helps it out. I can't wait to get to 50 subs. That way I can start doing these things live stream for the audience out there. And pulling the power back. I must say, that was a greaser. extremely smooth landing. I am completely impressed with this airplane. I assure you, it had nothing to do with my lack of ability, because that was a genuine one-take first-time landing with this aircraft. That was amazing.
Going to 121.905A line 221.
We'll get just to the other side of the old short line there so that we're clear of any and all traffic on the active. And then I'm going to want to taxi right back for takeoff, so we'll leave the fuel pumps on. I'm going to go ahead and bring the flaps down to takeoff as per usual, and then we're going to tell them that we are departing to the north because we do have to go up to the northeast. So this little landmass here is essentially where we're going, somewhere right in here on the coast. Alright, could you tell us any more taxiways? How about 26 is off to the left? Go that way. Sounds perfect for me. Yeah, acknowledged. Listen to this. Listen.
Echo Alpha Alpha Tree Alpha Alpha 2 Alpha Alpha 1 cross runway 26 Golf A line 221.
Well, thank goodness for that. So the ATIS here was 29.92 as it was back at Alderney. No big deal. Since we're here right before we taxi, let's go ahead and stay ahead of the aircraft here and program in our next destination. So as I said, it's going to be Lima Foxtrot Alpha Uniform. And you'll see right away here, I believe it's pronounced Volville. When that comes up, it'll be on the screen there in plain English, so you'll get to see if my pronunciation is terrible or not. There you go, Volville. And that airport is only 28.8 nautical miles, just as we said, right there on the coast near Cherbourg, kind of. So, yeah, not a very difficult flight today on either circumstances, especially with VFR. Clear left, clear right. Let's taxi back out to the active. And of course that's a very quick turnaround time, but you know, to skip the boredom of taxiing around Echo Alpha Alpha 2 Alpha H R J K, whatever that readback was they gave us, we'll just go ahead, turn left and go to 26 and save editing time on the video so that we don't have to worry too much about the ground roll. Anywho, in standard form, I'll go ahead, complete this taxi, get the 26, and I'll be right back when we're ready to ask for takeoff clearance. Shazam! Supercut, and we're back. So I've gone ahead at the hold short line here and typed in for Volvo, of course, we already know that. I've gone ahead and gotten ready by making sure that we have all T's and P's in the green down here. Right, everything's still running great on our 3 engines. We still have the fuel pumps on for port central and starboard there. And let's turn that yoke back on and request the takeoff.
Jersey Tower A line 221 at runway 26 ready for departure to the north.
A line 221 altimeter 29er.9er 2127.
And no changes there.
Departure to the north approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 26.
Cleared for takeoff runway 26.
All right.
221.
So we're clear right and we're clear left. Let's go ahead. And so on this last leg, I'm going to go ahead and try to get some better external shots there, some better camera work so that you can see more of this aircraft flying through the sky in its presumed natural habitat. And that way we can take up some of the mileage with something better to look at than just the standard gauges in here. So either way, let's go ahead and grab a swath of brakes there and run these engines up and get on out of here. And full power set. Airspeed indicator is alive. Positive rate, no gear up. We'll climb out again at 100 knots. And I'm going to preemptively throw in a whole bunch of positive elevator trim, because I know as soon as I cut the flaps up, we are going to have a much heavier aircraft. So let's go ahead and acknowledge that. You may have noticed as well those chops as we were coming over that Jersey cliff there right on the coastline. Alright. So, let's go ahead and pull the flaps all the way up. And we're accelerating a little bit here in the climb. That's always good. Plenty of power to boot. Going to essentially trim out here for neutral hands-free flight. Let's bring the propeller RPMs back again. And let's come back to about 25 on the manifold pressure gauge. Keep the engines running nice and cool. As a matter of fact, let's turn off our standby fuel pumps there and let's check out our gauges. Everything's reading A-OK. So we're making that turn to the right, also known as northerly direction. As you can see in our compass rose swinging there, not only just above us here, but also down here as well. Okay, let's go ahead and acknowledge that.
Jersey Tower A-Line 221 frequency change.
And let's go ahead and grab some external shots while we're at it in the climb too. Alright, welcome back inside here. As you can see, we're only 8.5 miles away from Vaudeville. I'm going to go ahead and call air traffic control and let them know our intentions to land. And we're going to come in on 25.
Lima Foxtrot Alpha Uniform Traffic A-Line 2218 miles southwest, 2,400 feet, inbound to land runway 25.
So, since we were on autopilot there, I'm going to go ahead and switch off the nav mode and bring ourselves basically to run parallel almost with 25. Let's switch over to heading mode. And that way we can hopefully skirt the length of the runway there. Should not take us long, 6 nautical miles now. We can start looking out our window for it. As always, checking the T's and P's down there. Going ahead and already remove the yoke for ease of viewing. but as they seem to be okay, we'll go ahead and throw that back on. Our landing lights are still armed, and of course we have our standby fuel pumps still on. Let's come over here to the navigation screen and zoom out 5 nautical miles. You can see right there. So we're basically going to have to turn 180 degrees here from where we are to get to 250 degrees, which is runway 25. And we're going to have to slow down considerably, but those flaps are large enough where it's going to happen quite quickly, thankfully, so we don't have to worry about too much time to slow down. And this is the coast of France. Very small portion of it. Of course, all that out there is the Channel to the north. Great Britain out that way, of course. Very interesting, rich in history, part of the world for sure. Definitely a bucket place item list, a place I would like to visit in my life. France, the French countryside. Fantastic views, that's for sure. And we're picking up a little bit of turbulence as we come over the coast there. And still looking for that runway. Although it should be more out towards this way. So let's go ahead and I'm going to remove the autopilot, and then we'll just enjoy the hand flight here. It has gotten quite bumpy, and we'll maintain our 135 knots indicated airspeed. Get there a little bit quicker and save time on the video. Say I'm honestly not too concerned at all, because this aircraft is an extraordinarily easy aircraft to land, and I was not expecting that, but surprises, and that is a pleasant one. So fantastic. This is the France VFR Airport DLC as well. So if you see anything on the France side here with this Aurigny Airport and you like it, just know that it is DLC. Everything showcased in today's video was DLC indeed. So let's go ahead, and since I'm having troubles finding the airport, I'm going to go ahead and head directly towards the airport and do a flyby just to get a location fixation on it. And then that'll establish us at the correct heights, and that way we'll have our own inertial reference set up for ourselves visually to complete that final approach, of course. At least according to our GPS, it is over here, and we're heading directly for it, and let's just keep looking, but I do not see anything. So perhaps that's it right there, huh? It is mistaking me for a asphalt strip, but it is not that. Perhaps this is why this was a previous destination for this aircraft, as rugged as it was. I was expecting to see a concrete strip, asphalt strip there, but that was not the case, and I have not been here before. So learn something new every day. At least we have our bearings straight now, and we can position ourselves for a final approach. That's, one of the things I like about these one takes and these first tries at the landing with the aircrafts and everything, because you get to see essentially what actually goes on without any supercuts, because that's the real world, and sometimes, things don't work out the way they're planned, and that's just fine, because no harm, no foul. Now that we know, we get to experience, I get to experience, hopefully we all get to experience a new landing. Of course, you can see the gliders out there, so it's kind of interesting, I guess, once you approach on 2.5, if you're departing that way, there's that drop off there towards the beach. So I would assume you would not want to flub that takeoff. Okay, so we are basically flying the downwind leg now. I'm going to go ahead and announce a turn to base. And we'll just leave the ATC window open. I'm going to slow down to the white airspeed indicator marks there for the arch. That way I can put in some flaps, and I just chopped power there, and you could see how quickly the aircraft began to slow down. So let's go ahead and put props full forward now that we're on base. Let's turn towards final and announce that. And go ahead and close that window up and apply the final notch of flaps for full down. And we're basically lined up straight ahead on final. Thankfully, this aircraft seems to have an enormous amount of drag with full flaps, so we can kind of just loft our way in here without having to pick up too much speed on a rapid descent. Here comes that grass runway landing. It's quite haphazard looking approach, though I must say. You're not really looking at too much real estate beyond the end of that grass strip there, are you? So, quite interesting. And as the speed drops, I'm still continuing. Oh, look at that. Continuing to put in some elevator trim. Those cows down there? Wow, I'm sure they'd be a little terrified by this. Let's give them a little blip of throttle just to liven up their day. And there's that touchdown. Okay, let's go ahead and make a right-hand turn there. I'm going to pull the flaps up, and we'll find ourselves a convenient place to park over here. I'm going to swing wide to the right. We'll get off the active as indicated by these white cone markers, making sure to avoid our right wingtip. And we'll go ahead and turn on in. As there's not going to be enough room there to taxi between the gliders, we're just going to go ahead and pull right up on here in between these glider trailers and this car. We'll stop just short and we'll conclude the video. Excellent. Let's bring some parking brakes online. Let's go ahead and turn off our auxiliary fuel pumps here. We'll go ahead and remove our pitot, nav, landing lights port and starboard. And we're going to turn off our external power. Let's remove the generators. Let's go ahead and pull the mixture all the way back to cut off. And we'll remove the props there for the pitch. Bring all of them to feather. Batteries are off, but then we'll go ahead and remove the avionics. We'll open this window up for some fresh air, and then we'll, of course, remove the magnetos 1 and 2 from all 3 engines. We don't want any sun in our eyes, so let's go ahead and put the sun shield down. Fantastic. Let's grab one more external shot. And here we are on the coast of France at a grass airfield, a place that, to my understanding and research, this Aurigny company actually flew to with these planes. So hopefully you enjoyed the content. I tried to cut out as much fluff as possible there and brought up most of just the important parts. If you could, like I said, subscribe, maybe throw a like. Excited about getting to 50 subs and being back on YouTube and uploading these videos on a more regular basis. So with that, thanks for watching again. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.